They say some encounters are written long before we are born. A glance across a crowded room, a brush of energy, and suddenly the world feels like it has shifted. Two souls collide, not by chance, but by an eternal design that is played out across lifetimes. This is not just a love story, it is the eternal dance of souls. Love, loss, and infinite connection. What if every heartbreak you've ever endured was not an ending, but a doorway? What if every person you've loved and lost was never truly gone? Tonight, we step into the timeless rhythm where souls meet, separate, and return again and again in an endless waltz of remembrance. Stay with me, because once you see the pattern, you'll never look at love the same way again. There are moments in life when time seems to pause. The air thickens, silence roars, and the veil between the ordinary and the divine becomes so thin you could almost reach through it. That is how it feels when two souls destined to recognize one another finally meet. It rarely happens in the ways our stories and movies teach us. It is not always fireworks, nor instant romance, nor dramatic declarations. Sometimes it is a quiet recognition, a stillness in the heart that whispers, "Here, you have found me again." We call these encounters by many names soulmates, twin flames, kindred spirits, but the truth is far older than language. Long before bodies were born, before names and faces, there were energies intertwined. They circled each other across the vastness of eternity, parting and reuniting, learning and remembering. And when they meet again in human form, the recognition is undeniable. It might begin with a glance, eyes meeting across a crowded room, and suddenly, it feels as if the universe has conspired to collapse into that single moment. You cannot look away. Something about them pulls you in, not their beauty, not their charm, but something deeper, something eternal. For some, it begins with conversation. Words flow like water, effortlessly, as if you have always spoken this language together. Hours slip away unnoticed, and every sentence feels like rediscovering an old book you once loved. Only now, it reads itself to you. For others, it is silence that binds. A comfort so profound that you need no words at all. Sitting beside them, breathing the same air, feels like home. Not the kind of home built of bricks and mortar, but the one that exists in the deepest chambers of the soul. You might resist it at first. You might rationalize, question, or even deny the connection. After all, how could someone you have just met feel more familiar than your own reflection? And yet, beneath the mind's doubts, the soul hums a melody of remembrance. There is often a magnetic pull. No matter how much distance life tries to place between you, something draws you back. You cross paths again and again, as though invisible strings are being tugged by unseen hands. Coincidences pile up until coincidence no longer seems like an adequate explanation. You will notice the signs, small, subtle, yet undeniable. Birthdays that align, shared dreams, strange synchronicities that stitch your worlds together like golden threads. Perhaps you both find yourselves in the same place at the same time, without planning it. Perhaps you speak the same words simultaneously. These moments are not random, they are the universe's way of whispering, "Pay attention, this is sacred." But the true recognition goes deeper still. It is not in the mind, nor in the body, but in the soul. A resonance that vibrates through you like a forgotten song suddenly remembered. It feels like warmth spreading through your chest, like light flooding into your being. You are seeing not the mask you wear for the world, not the roles you play, but the raw essence of who you truly are. And in being seen, you also see. Theirs is a face you may have never looked upon before, yet somehow it is familiar. The way they laugh, the way they move, the way they simply are, all of it feels etched into your memory, though you cannot recall when or how you first learned it. It is said that souls travel in groups, weaving in and out of one another's lives across countless incarnations. Some come to teach, some come to heal, some come to break us open so that light may enter. And some rare, precious few come simply to remind us of what love truly is. When such a meeting happens, you may feel as if the ground beneath you shifts. Priorities rearrange themselves. What once mattered deeply now feels trivial, and what once seemed impossible now feels inevitable. It is as though life itself has bent to make room for this connection. But with such intensity also comes fear. For to recognize a soul so deeply is to recognize the stakes. This is no ordinary encounter, no passing romance. This is something that can transform you, undo you, set fire to everything you thought you knew. And yet, despite the fear, you cannot turn away. For the truth is magnetic, and the soul cannot unknow what it has remembered. The meeting of souls is not always romantic in the conventional sense. Sometimes it arrives in the form of a friend, a teacher, a stranger who enters your life for a brief yet unforgettable moment. But no matter the form, the essence is the same. Recognition. Recognition that you are more than this body, more than this lifetime, more than the sum of your fears and desires. Recognition that love is not something we create, but something we remember. Recognition that the eternal dance of souls has brought you here, to this exact place, at this exact time, for reasons that will only unfold with patience. And so the dance begins. Two souls, circling once more, drawn together by forces unseen, bound by threads unbreakable, reminded of a love that transcends the boundaries of time. What follows is not always easy, not always gentle, not always the fairy tale we hope for, but it is always sacred. For in the meeting of souls lies the seed of transformation, the invitation to journey deeper into the mystery of love, of loss, of connection beyond the veil. This is where the story begins. Not in endings, not in resolutions, but in that first breathless recognition when two souls remember each other. And though the journey ahead will twist and turn in ways neither can predict, the memory of that first meeting will remain. A compass, a guiding light, a reminder that love, in its truest form, is eternal. For once the dance begins, it never truly ends. When souls recognize one another, the world shifts. But recognition is only the beginning. The next step is union, a dance. So profound it stretches beyond flesh, beyond words, beyond the fragile limitations of time. Union does not mean sameness. It does not mean two people dissolving into one another, losing their individuality in some romantic haze. No, true union is the opposite. It is the recognition of wholeness in each being, a wholeness that radiates even brighter when reflected in the other. Imagine two flames burning side by side. Each has its own fire, its own light. But when they draw near, their heat intensifies, their glow expands, and together they illuminate more of the darkness. That is what it feels like when two souls enter the dance of union. The first movements of this dance are often intoxicating. Everything feels heightened. Colors seem brighter. Music resonates deeper. Even the silence between you hums with electricity. The smallest touch sends waves through the body, not because of physical chemistry alone, but because it is recognition made tangible. It is the soul speaking through skin, through eyes, through laughter. Hours spent together feel like seconds, and seconds apart feel like hours. You hunger for their presence, not out of need or lack, but because something within you remembers that love is the natural state of being. To be close to them is to be close to truth itself. But union is not merely the intoxication of early love. It is deeper, more enduring, more transformative. It is not about what you get from the other, but about what you become in their presence. For in this dance, your shadows are revealed. The parts of you long buried, long ignored, begin to surface. Old wounds ache to be healed. Old fears rise to be faced. This is the paradox of union. It is both bliss and challenge, ecstasy and confrontation. Because to truly love is to be seen, and to be seen means nothing can remain hidden. The masks you wear for the world fall away, one by one, until only your naked soul remains, vulnerable, raw, and yet, in their gaze, safe. Some resist this unveiling. They retreat when the shadows grow too heavy, when the mirror shows them what they have long avoided. Others surrender to the process, allowing love to strip away every falsehood, every pretense, every wall they have built around the heart. And in that surrender, transformation happens. You begin to notice how their presence awakens you, how their laughter stirs joy where there was once numbness, how their touch calms storms you thought would rage forever, how their words remind you of truths you had forgotten. It is as if the soul has always known this dance, and the body, the mind, the heart are simply catching up. Union also manifests in synchronicity. You finish each other's sentences, you dream the same dreams, you think of them, and suddenly they call. Life arranges itself so that you are always pulled back into one another's orbit. The invisible thread that drew you together tightens, weaving your lives in ways that defy logic. In these moments, you realize love is not something you chase. It is something that finds you when the time is right, when both souls are ready to remember. But make no mistake, union is not about perfection. It is not free of conflict nor free of challenge. In fact, it often magnifies them. Because what greater mirror is there than another soul reflecting your deepest self back at you? Arguments arise, not out of pettiness, but because the stakes are higher. Every word matters. Every silence matters. The fear of losing them awakens ancient wounds of abandonment, rejection, betrayal. The closer you draw, the louder these fears whisper. What if they leave? What if I am not enough? What if love is too fragile to endure? And yet, it is precisely through facing these fears together that love deepens. Every tear shed in honesty, every wound revealed in vulnerability, becomes a thread in the tapestry of trust. It is through the breaking that the bond strengthens. In the dance of union, intimacy goes far beyond the physical. Yes, bodies intertwine, and in those moments of closeness, you may feel as if you are dissolving into the infinite together. But intimacy here is not limited to the body. It is the intimacy of souls. It is lying awake at 2 a.m., sharing secrets you've never spoken aloud. It is looking into their eyes and feeling as though you are staring into the very center of creation. It is knowing that even in silence, even in stillness, you are connected. Sometimes, union feels almost unbearable in its beauty. The heart expands beyond what you thought it could hold. You cry not out of sorrow, but because love so vast has nowhere else to go but through tears. You laugh until your ribs ache, not from humor alone, but from the joy of existing in this exact moment, with this exact soul, in this exact lifetime. And yet, even in the height of such bliss, a whisper lingers. A reminder that this dance, as eternal as it may be on the soul level, is still fragile in human form. Bodies age, circumstances shift, lives change. And deep down, love this powerful will not allow itself to remain stagnant. It will demand growth. It will demand change. It will demand evolution. Because union is not the end of the journey. It is the crucible where transformation is forged. It is where two souls remind each other of who they are, not just as lovers, but as eternal beings walking each other home. You may find yourselves creating together, perhaps art, perhaps music, perhaps simply a shared vision of life more luminous than either could imagine alone. Love becomes the canvas, and every action, every word, every shared dream becomes brushstrokes upon it. You may also find yourselves healing together. Old traumas rise, not to destroy, but to be released. Their presence becomes the balm to your wounds, just as yours becomes the salve to theirs. And through it all, you begin to understand. This is not an ordinary love. This is not something that can be explained, categorized, or confined. This is the eternal dance, playing itself out once more. For as intoxicating as the dance of union is, somewhere deep within you both lies the knowing. This too is a passage. This too will lead to the next movement. For every union holds within it the seeds of separation, and every separation holds within it the seeds of reunion. But for now, in this moment, you surrender. You allow the dance to carry you. You let love be what it has always been: eternal, infinite, and utterly beyond your control. And as the music of the cosmos swells around you, as two flames burn brighter together than they ever could alone, you realize you are not simply in love. You are love itself, remembering. This is the dance of union. And like all dances, it will one day shift, change tempo, perhaps even break apart. But nothing, not time, not distance, not loss, can erase the truth revealed in this union, that love is eternal, and the souls who remember it are forever bound. The next movement is coming. The dance will not remain gentle forever. For love, when it seeks to grow, often wears the mask of loss. And when that mask appears, the soul is asked, "Will you remember me, even when I am gone?" If the meeting of souls feels like recognition, and the union feels like homecoming, then separation feels like death. Not the death of the body, but something even more haunting: the death of the world you had come to know, the tearing away of a part of yourself you believed you could never live without. It often begins quietly. A shift so subtle you almost ignore it. A change in tone, a silence in their voice, a space where once there was closeness. You sense it before you understand it. The energy begins to pull apart, as if invisible threads once taut and glowing are now fraying. At first, you resist. You convince yourself it is nothing. A rough patch, a misunderstanding, a temporary distance. After all, how could something so eternal, so destined, so undeniable unravel? How could the universe bring two souls together only to separate them? But the truth begins to make itself known. Perhaps circumstances shift distance, timing, obligations, fears. Perhaps wounds surface too raw to be healed in the presence of the other. Perhaps the love is so intense that it terrifies, and one or both souls retreat into the safety of walls once again. And then it happens. The words no heart ever wishes to hear. The silence that follows. The goodbye, whether spoken or implied, that tears the dance apart. Separation. It feels impossible. You wake and reach for them, only to remember they are no longer there. You search for their laughter in crowded rooms, hear their voice in echoes that never come. The body aches, the soul cries, and every corner of your being feels the absence. There is no pain like it. Because unlike ordinary loss, this is not just about a person. This is about a soul you have recognized across eternity. This is about a connection so deep it cannot be replaced. It is the tearing open of the heart, the unraveling of certainty, the shattering of illusions. And yet, within the agony, a strange truth reveals itself. The love remains, even when the body is gone, even when the voice is silent, even when the touch is no longer felt. The love does not vanish. It lingers like a ghost, haunting every moment, every thought, every breath. You may try to bury it, to distract yourself with work, with others, with noise. You may try to numb it, to harden, to pretend you never cared. But love this vast cannot be erased. It clings, it echoes, it burns quietly beneath the surface. Grief takes many forms. Some days it feels like rage, like betrayal, like bitterness sharp enough to wound. Other days it feels like emptiness, a hollow ache that swallows all joy. And sometimes, in the quiet moments, it feels like longing, a gentle yet unbearable pull toward what is gone. Friends may tell you to move on. The world may insist that time heals all wounds. But the soul knows better. This is not a wound time can erase. This is an initiation, a breaking open designed not to destroy you, but to transform you. For separation, as cruel as it feels, is part of the dance. It is in the emptiness that you begin to see yourself clearly. When the mirror of the other is gone, you are forced to face your own reflection. Who are you without them? What have they awakened in you that now longs to be embodied, even in their absence? Perhaps you discover strength you never knew you had. Perhaps you find art spilling from your hands, music from your lips, words from your pen, expressions born of grief but transformed into beauty. Perhaps you finally confront wounds that have lingered for lifetimes, no longer able to hide in the comfort of their love. And in these moments, as unbearable as they are, you begin to understand. Separation is not abandonment. It is initiation. The soul does not dance for comfort alone. It dances for evolution. And sometimes the greatest growth comes not from being held, but from being broken open. There will be nights when you feel them still. In dreams, in whispers, in the space between waking and sleep. You may feel their presence so vividly that for a moment you believe they have returned. And perhaps, in some way, they have. For souls do not vanish. They circle, they visit, they remind. Sometimes separation is final in the physical world. Death claims the body, and the one you love is no longer seen, no longer touched. This loss carves deeper than words can reach, and the grief feels endless. And yet, even then, the connection does not die. You feel them in the wind, in the songs, in the memories that flood your heart. They live within you, woven into your very being. Other times, separation is temporary. Perhaps they return. Perhaps the threads pull you back together. Perhaps the dance resumes, altered but unbroken. And yet, whether reunion comes in this lifetime or another, the truth remains. Separation was never the end. It was a passage. Still, the human heart does not easily accept this. It wants certainty, presence, tangible proof of love. It does not care for cosmic dances or eternal truths. It cares for the warmth of a hand, the sound of a voice, the comfort of belonging. And when those are gone, it breaks. And that breaking is sacred. Because when the heart shatters, something miraculous happens. The light pours in. The illusions of control, of permanence, of ownership dissolve, leaving only truth. And the truth is this: love was never about holding on. Love was never about possession. Love was never about guarantees. Love was always about remembrance. Even in the depths of separation, you begin to remember that the soul you loved is not gone, but transformed. That the bond you shared is not broken, but reshaped. That the dance is not over, but shifting into a new rhythm. It is in grief that the eternal nature of love reveals itself most clearly. Because if love were fragile, it would end here. It would die with goodbye. It would dissolve with distance, but it does not. It endures. It whispers. It lingers. And slowly, painfully, you begin to realize they have never truly left you. Yes, the body may be absent, the daily presence may be gone, but the essence, the soul, the truth that remains, they are with you in ways unseen, guiding, teaching, reminding. Their absence becomes a presence of its own, shaping you in ways their closeness never could. This is the paradox of separation. It feels like death, yet it births life. It feels like the end, yet it opens the doorway to eternity. And so, through tears, through grief, through longing, you take the next step in the dance. Not because you want to, not because you are ready, but because the soul insists. For even shattered, the heart beats on. Even broken, the soul remembers. And somewhere deep within you, beneath the ache, beneath the sorrow, lies the quiet truth. This dance is far from over. Separation is not the finale. It is the passage into the infinite. In the aftermath of separation, when the echoes of grief soften into silence, something extraordinary begins to unfold. At first, it is subtle, almost imperceptible, a whisper in the wind, a flicker of recognition in a dream, a sense that they are near, even when they are gone. But slowly, steadily, the truth reveals itself. Love does not end. It transforms. The human mind clings to the idea that endings are final, that goodbye means forever, that absence means loss. Yet the soul knows differently. The soul understands that connection is not bound by space or time, that love cannot be contained within the fragile boundaries of the physical world. And so, as you navigate the empty spaces left behind, you begin to notice them filled with presence. You hear their laughter in the rustle of leaves. You feel their warmth in the sun's embrace. You see their reflection in the kindness of strangers, in the synchronicities that appear like cosmic winks, reminding you that you are never alone. At first, you question it. Is it imagination, desperation, wishful thinking? But as the signs multiply, as the presence deepens, you begin to accept what the heart always knew. The bond endures. The infinite connection is not bound to physical form. It transcends it. Where once you knew them in touch and sight, now you know them in essence, in energy, in the quiet, knowing that hums through your being. It is here that the greatest transformation occurs. For while separation shattered you, infinite connection rebuilds you. It teaches you that love was never about clinging, but about becoming. Never about holding, but about remembering. Never about keeping, but about expanding. You realize that the love you felt for them was never truly theirs. It was yours. It arose from within you, awakened by their presence, but belonging always to your soul. And if love is within you, then it cannot be lost. It lives in you still, waiting to be expressed. Not just for them, but for the world. This is the hidden gift of infinite connection. It expands love beyond the personal, beyond the singular, into the universal. What began as love for one becomes love for all. The tenderness you once reserved for them alone now flows through you to everyone you meet. The compassion, the patience, the joy they radiate outward, touching lives far beyond what you could have imagined. In this way, the soul you loved continues to live through you. Every act of kindness, every burst of creativity, every step toward your highest self becomes an echo of the bond you shared. They are not gone. They are woven into your being, inseparable, eternal. And sometimes, the universe reminds you of this more directly. You dream of them vividly, conversations so real you wake with tears on your cheeks. You feel their hand on your shoulder in moments of despair, guiding you back to hope. You sense them near when you need courage most, their presence a shield of invisible strength. These moments are not accidents. They're the soul reminding you, I am still here. We are still dancing. Some believe in lifetimes, in souls that reincarnate together again and again, playing different roles but always circling back. Others believe in dimensions beyond the visible, where connections continue after the body is gone. Whether you name it reincarnation, the afterlife, or simply energy that cannot be destroyed, the truth remains. The bond between souls endures. And so, you begin to live differently. No longer clinging in fear of loss, no longer grasping at permanence, but flowing with the rhythm of love itself. You love boldly, not because you are guaranteed forever, but because you know forever already exists beyond time, beyond form, beyond endings. This is the liberation that infinite connection brings, the understanding that love is never wasted. Every smile, every embrace, every whispered word of affection lives on in the fabric of eternity. Nothing is lost. Nothing is forgotten. The soul you loved has become your teacher. Through meeting, you remembered recognition. Through union, you tasted bliss. Through separation, you were broken open. And through infinite connection, you discovered the truth. You are love itself. Eternal, unchanging, infinite. One day, perhaps in this lifetime or another, you will meet them again. Perhaps not in the same form, not with the same name, not in the same circumstances, but the recognition will return. The dance will begin anew, and you will smile, remembering that love is never over, only ever changing. Until then, you carry them with you, not as a burden, but as a blessing. Not as a wound, but as a flame. Their essence fuels your journey. Their memory inspires your steps. Their love echoes in every heartbeat. And as you look back on the path, the meeting, the union, the separation, you realize it was never about holding on. It was always about becoming. It was always about remembering who you are. A soul eternal, a being of love, a fragment of the infinite. The eternal dance of souls is not a story of beginnings and endings. It is a story of cycles, of transformations, of remembering. It is the universe reminding itself, again and again, of what it has always been, love. And so, the dance continues. If this story has touched you, if you felt the pull of recognition, the beauty of union, the ache of separation, or the quiet truth of infinite connection, then know this: you are not alone. We are all dancers in this eternal rhythm. All souls remembering, all hearts learning to love beyond limits. Carry this remembrance into your own life. Love fully, even knowing it may one day change form. Embrace the union, endure the separation, and trust in the infinite connection. Because every step you take in love ripples outward into eternity. Share this story with those who need reminding. Speak it, live it, embody it. Let your love be the proof that nothing is ever truly lost. The dance continues and you are a part of it.